Hey friends, it's me, Shannon. I recorded a sketchbook tour not too long ago, and I didn't realize that I had this finished sketchbook in my craft room, my art room. So this is from the Coffee Monster Co. It's a digital file that she has with all of the letters. Beam paints, those are water paints. I have a couple sets from. I believe this one and maybe that one are all Lee Ellickson. I think this one is one that I got with a tarot deck, and I don't remember where these two came from. I completed this so long ago, I forgot I had even finished it. I forgot I had even worked it. It was one of those, oh, surprise finds. So I started this way back, and I think up to that point I had only been doing like big landscapes and watercolor. So this is really where I started practicing doing some more drawing actual figures, and some of the things in here I absolutely love and some of them I hate. So January 2023, I really like to put ideas in all my sketchbooks, so if I get stuck on something, it's just there. At one point I contemplated doing pet portraits, and I quickly said hell no. And then this was an exploration that I was doing of an Art Nouveau piece. This was a practice exercise where I didn't look at the paper as I was doing it. I was strictly looking at whatever the reference was. Pet practices and plants. Clearly I am much better with plants than I am with pets. I'm not a realistic artist, and it just doesn't work for me. I think that's probably the better of the ones that I tried. So like I just quickly moved on from those, and I was like, nope, not gonna do it. This is a self-portrait that I did. It turned out okay, I suppose. This was a two-part gouache painting, and for some reason I decided to paint the border around it too. This was quite a while ago. It was when I was first learning gouache. It's very possible this could have been a class or a lesson that I took. I don't recall, because when I first started doing sketchbook work, I did not do a very good job of recording what I was doing and if it was a class, where it was, or the date. This is, I think it might be alcohol markers. What is it, alcohol markers? I can't remember. But basically I was swatching something there. I'm pretty sure I covered up a few things here. It just became a hot mess. And then I made some snails and some whatever those are. There was a lot of practice done in this sketchbook. And if you watched my previous sketchbook video, and if you haven't, I suggest you go back and do that. But if you haven't watched my previous sketchbook tour, one of the things I talk about in there is I don't believe in ugly sketchbooks. I think that sketchbooks are beautiful no matter what is in them, no matter how you work in them. Because yes, they can have finished pieces in them, and that is great, but they are also meant to be a place where you can go in and you can explore and you can practice. And that's what I'm doing. Like here, you will see these figures in my pieces throughout, because that's what I'm practicing. This started as a page where I was watching my son at an archery tournament, and I just was sketching out, and then I decided afterwards to go over it with some paint and then draw some different leaves and flowers. I'm fairly certain that these two sections were a landscape exercise that I did with Sophie McPike on one of her scribble brigades, playing around with drawing some birds. Clearly do not do very well at that either. I volunteered to take 68th graders to Washington, D.C. on a field trip. And so while I was there, I went to several art museums, and at one of them, they had this really beautiful wall. And I realized afterwards, I didn't take a picture of the wall, which is really odd of me. Normally, I take a picture of everything before I even think about drawing it. So I had sat down and started sketching it out and painting it, and then I just never came back to it. I don't have the reference for it anymore. And all in all does not mean I can't go back in and finish it, but I'm not going to. This sketchbook is done. I'm done with it. Here you can see I'm practicing different shapes with perspective. And then at some point I decided, screw it, I wanted to draw an ice cream cone. This is some more practice. So I was looking at different, I think, masters. I was drawing or working off of them. I just did a couple of flowers and leaves and avocados. Like I said, I finished this quite a while ago, so a lot of these I don't actually remember. I'm guessing that with these I was swatching the colors and I just wanted to see how the colors worked and played with each other. So I probably had new palettes because they both look like watercolor. This one, I'm pretty sure this was shortly after I got the Karen Deco Brush acrylic paint markers, which were absolutely fascinating to me and I absolutely love them. I bought way too many of them and I still have them and I love the ones that work. They stop working and I think they're too expensive to do that, but I have an example right here. So this is a Deco brush. This is one of the ones that does not work, which it may be completely dried out now. But I have since graduated to the Artex acrylic markers. They are some of my favorite ones, as well as some no-name brand that I absolutely love. This is gouache. This is when I was first learning how to do gouache, and I was learning how to mix and make different colors and how you could go over things and cover things up. That's one of the things I really like about gouache, is that nothing is final. If you mess up, you can easily go back over it. This is gouache as well. This is, I think I took a class that was like messy gouache or something like that. And it was basically just how you can use big, quick gestures and loose figures to make things, and they still look like the lemon and the eggplant. I think class really helped me loosen up my thinking behind what I needed to do when I was painting versus what I thought I needed to do. This was gouache painting that I did along with a lesson that Sarah Burns taught. And I absolutely love how it turned out. I think it's very beautiful. It's not my style now, but I really like learning how to do gouache landscapes really helped me to understand my own landscapes. This is more just playing with different types of flower shapes. I think in this one I was mainly just trying to play with colored pencils. I still struggle with colored pencils. Like, I really like how the leaves turned out in the shading. And I think if I just stick to using them for that, I would like how they look. It's when I start adding them in other places that I don't like them. This was another class that I did. I know I did pen or ink and watercolor. I'm struggling right now to think of the name of the artist that I did their class. It was like Sarah Bonacci or something like that. I don't know. I will try to put it in the video notes if I remember it. Link these people too in the show notes. So this is just messing with landscape, and here, like, you can see I'm starting to find some of those common elements that show up in my art now. I'm starting to play around with them. I'm starting to get looser and find them. Just a vase with flowers in it. This was actually when I first got the first Karen Deco brushes that I got. I did this one. I used colored pencils, and I didn't like it when I put the colored pencils on there. It makes the sky look dull, and the kind of the same thing happened here. Once I added the colored pencils, I didn't like it anymore. So me and colored pencils are still trying to figure out our relationship. This is it's more of a color study than a swatch sheet. I have Winsor & Newton Opera Rose and Lemon Yellow Deep. And when you mix them together, it makes this really lovely pink coral. And what I wanted to do is, when I had that color mixed together, how it worked with the rest of the colors that I have in my palette that I have. And this side is the Opera Rose Lemon Yellow Deep Pure. And then this side is the color I'm mixing with it, Pure. And then the inside is heavier on this, lighter on this, and then as it gets closer to the side, it's more of that color that I'm mixing into it, just to see what different colors and values. If you work with watercolors or any kind of paints, I highly suggest that you do something like this, an exercise like this. I actually have done this a number of times. I have a bunch of these different color studies up there on my wall. So I really like to, anytime I use like a set color palette, I like to do that just to see what the colors look like together, just to see what actual options I have as far as full range of colors. Apparently I had some Art Spaz watercolor brush markers. So this was Art Spaz watercolor brush markers, and then I'm gonna keep it like this, the Karen brush marker pro. So these are watercolors, but they're neon, and I have a huge affinity for neon pink, and I don't know why. Like, I can see on screen, you can't see just how bright that pink is. I can tell it's not as bright as it is in person, which is unfortunate, but it's a very pretty pink. It's very bright. And then here, I think these are all Posca pens, and I was just looking to see if any of them worked. Here are the Karen Deco brush, the acrylics, the ones that I have that were acrylic markers. Yet another vase with flowers. And I don't actually know what, clearly I had gotten a watercolor set or something and they were just numbered. And so I was playing with trying to figure out what they looked like, and I did a really bad job of labeling what they were. This is something that I started and I have no idea where I was going with it, and so I never came back and finished it. This book has a lot of that in there. This was definitely one where I was learning how, this was a practice sketchbook for me. So this is another watercolor set that I have called The Art of Soil. All of the pigments are made from the earth. These were more clearly 30-second landscape exercises that I did when I was doing Scribble Brigade with Sophie McPike. And then, so what we would do is we would start out with like 30-second, and then we would do a minute, and then we would do 5 minutes. You can see how my 30-second ones were really awful. My minute ones got better. They were a little bit more focused. And then my 5-minute ones were even better. Not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but you can definitely tell what's there. A tree and a heart and what looks like a river. There you go. Little dragon. I know what this is from. I am part of a program every year that's run by Kyla Givehand, and it's called Pull Pen Paint. And in it, we focus on pulling tarot cards, learning about astrology, journaling, and getting creative with that. And so one of the teachers every year teaches a lesson on whatever the zodiac, the Chinese zodiac is that year. And so this was the year of the dragon, which would have been 2024 maybe. Here I am practicing some pattern work and then just working with different colors side by side. This is another Scribble Brigade with Sophie, and we were looking at little items and then drawing those items individually. This type of patterning is a really great way to practice because you're getting presented with an item, and then you have to pick ahead of time. You go in and draw all these boxes, and then you have to pick which box you're going to put it in. This is also a really great way to design a repeat pattern by doing something like that. I have no idea what I was doing here. Clearly I was just putting down marks, which is fine too. That works. I was practicing. This is colored pencils again. And I know with this one, I was specifically practicing trying to utilize different techniques with colored pencils. I still have problems with colored pencils. Like, I still am not sure of myself. Bugs and flowers, I think I was going to do like a sketchbook page of bugs and flowers, and then I ended up just drawing some leaves and putting paint over it. I think this is another watercolor set that I have, like a neon one. Let me see if I turn this light on. Shows that pink better. It's still pretty dark, but a little bit better than it did. Yeah, let's see if it shows this other one back here. No, that's interesting. Why? Because I know a lot of times neon pinks won't show up real well when you scan them. Like you lose the color when you scan them. But I've never had it show up like that on video. Interesting. This is washi tape from the Coffee Monster Co. I can tell you, this is exercises I was doing with colored pencils. These are paints. These must be the Beam watercolors that I got. And then I'm swatching those. I really like the Blueberry Mountain one. And I think it's Cherry Magenta. Yeah, it's so pretty. I wish I used watercolors more. They're just such a pain to take out and put back away. There's an artist named Mimi Moo. That's the name that she uses for her YouTube, her Patreon. I think her actual name is like Mimi Purnell or something like that. But she used to do a sketchbook club with her Patreon every month, and it would be a theme, like a sunny day, and then everyone would do a sketchbook page with a bunch of different ideas of what would go with that theme. So this was a sunny day, this was a magical forest, and the idea was at this stage you were just trying to get down everything that went with that theme. You weren't trying to get anything finished, and then once you got done with this point, then you would pick out like what things you like. So you might decide, oh, I really like this lemonade and the wind blowing and the sun shining and a rainbow, and then you would take those elements and then you would create a full illustration with those elements. So a cozy home, best friends, peanut butter and jelly. It's interesting because you can see here, like I'm getting closer and closer to discovering the style of illustrations that I enjoy creating. Like I can see I'm moving closer and closer to them. Under the sea and in the garden, cute and spooky. I drew these on here and I didn't do anything more with them here, but I have drawn some of these in different illustrations on my iPad or in my other traditional art. And so this is really the only page that I could have come back and finished or done more with, but I opted not to. I decided to call it done. And then the last page here, I am playing with the Artex acrylic markers, and I actually really love some of these things. Like I love the coral that I created here, the mushroom, I love the bird, I love the moth. I really love some of the elements on this page. So I'm actually might come back and take some of those elements into a future illustration and do something with them, if that makes sense. And then that brings me to the end. So that was a pretty quick flip through for you, but that's just another sketchbook. This is the Strathmore, I believe it's the multimedia soft cover, and I love this book. The paper in this book, it takes a beating and keeps on licking. So you can pretty much use any medium in this book, whether it be wet or dry, and it gets lovably crinkly, or not crinkly, warped and chunky a little bit, but that's how I like my sketchbooks to look. So I actually like them even chunkier than this. But so there is my second sketchbook tour. So I really hope that you enjoyed this. Thank you so much for being here. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe if you're not, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much. Love you. I really appreciate your support.